James Charles has had enough, and he just posted a 10-minute long video telling everybody his side of the story and what exactly he says happened. Get comfortable, because this shit just got crazy. So Kayla Malik just won her court case today. She was taking her ex, Evan Johnson, to court for abuse. Now, she allegedly was friends with James Charles, and James Charles was rumored to be having an affair or a relationship of some sort with her ex, Evan Johnson. After Kayla came out with what happened to her, Evan's friend Zack ended up going to his social media account and telling everything allegedly that James Charles was doing with Evan Johnson. Well, Canadian Be Better ended up flying Zack to Toronto, and he interviewed them. They did a huge interview that is on YouTube if you want to go check it out. And now James Charles has commented on that. So first of all, James Charles started the whole thing off by saying he in no way supports Evan Johnson.
I do not support Evan Johnson in any way, shape, or form, and let me make that fucking clear. I don't support him, I don't support violence against women, and I sure as hell do not support the disgusting, deplorable, violent, heinous acts that he committed against Kayla Malik behind closed doors. The videos that I'm currently seeing all over my For You page are disturbing to me. This is not TikTok tea and drama for everyone else's entertainment. This is real people dealing with some really serious shit. The conversation has completely shifted focus away from Kayla Malik and how she was brave enough to speak out about what she went through to how James Charles involved, the downfall, By Sister 2.0, where's the apology video? It's distracting from the actual issue at hand, which is domestic violence.
The situation involving James Charles, Evan Johnson, and Kayla Malik has been circulating now for days, and he has kept fairly quiet until yesterday when he posted a brief message. However, he goes into detail in the video saying why he's been quiet.
I have not spoken out about this for a couple of different reasons. The main one being, this is going to court this week. I didn't want to put Kayla at any risk for that. I hate that I'm getting online and filming this video right now, but I truthfully have no other choice because I've also spent the last several weeks trying to get in contact with the only person involved in this that actually matters and needs to hear the truth, and that's Kayla Malik. And she has been unwilling to have a conversation with me. And frankly, I don't fucking blame her. After I watched the laughable interview between Be Better and Zack Sellars, I wouldn't want to have a conversation with me either if I was being fed complete bullshit lies and misinformation from the person whose only source of information is the same man that lied to and abused me for 9 months straight.
He then says that he's absolutely had enough and he's going to prove his story in a court of law and that he's going to sue Zack Sellars.
At this point, I have no choice other than to get online, tell my story, and then prove my story to be true in a court of law. I am suing Zack Sellars and anybody else that thinks it's funny or entertaining to get online and spread defamatory and slanderous lies, misinformation, completely bullshit, made-up stories for the sake of views, likes, engagement, and galaxies. I'm done.
And again, this is who he's talking about. This is Zack Sellars. This is Evan's ex-friend who's gone on social media to tell everyone what allegedly James Charles has been doing. So we knew about this text message because that's something that Evan had talked to Be Better about. Well, James Charles posted the screenshots of this. So this is a message between James Charles and Kayla. So James writes and says, do you want to be in a painted video with your man? So this was a Valentine's Day project right around the time that Kayla had broken up with Evan. Kayla responds to him saying, I'm not even joking, this made me piss. I broke up with him effing last night. I saw your story and was crashing out. Tune in for the 30-part Who the F Did I Marry series. And James Charles responds, what? And she says, girl, he's effing crazy. Now at this point, James responds and says, what happened? Can I have him now? LMFAO. And then he writes, I'm so sorry, Kayla, you deserve better. Now, it was said previously that he responded to Kayla's message saying, can I have him now? But what was going around was that she had told him everything that Evan had done to her, and he responded, can I have him now? But according to this, that's not the case. So she writes back saying, imagine like the worst things a human can do to you. It would take hours to text it, but you'll see the series soon, because WTF. But thank you so much. Congrats on the painted love. And he responds, oh God, you're actually doing a series on it? I'm sorry. And then she responds saying, oh, just wait, because I gave this man a platform based off of lies and abuse, but I'm gonna wait to heal from it and then clock it. And he again says, I'm sorry, Kayla. So yes, she did tell him that lies and abuse were the reason this was going down, but didn't give him details. And definitely it doesn't look like gave him any details before he responded with, can I have him now? James says that when him and Kayla were messaging back and forth that he took this as a joke. He was not taking this seriously, and he didn't realize the extent to what Kayla had gone through.
I genuinely interpreted these messages as a messy breakup. Maybe he cheated, maybe they got into a drunken argument that ended badly. I could have never imagined what she was actually going through behind the scenes. I wish I could go back in time and been there for her, tried to help her. I wish that I would have asked more questions, but frankly, I didn't feel comfortable doing so.
Everyone has been under the impression that Kayla and James Charles were actually besties. They've actually referred to themselves as that. They've done collaborations together. But according to James Charles, he and Kayla aren't even really friends.
Me and Kayla Malik just weren't close friends. I don't say that to take away from her feelings about this. I don't say that to undermine what she went through. We've only met a couple of times. We collabed in 2023, she guest starred on a podcast with me in 2024, and we hung out at our mutual friend's Halloween party back in October. We've never hung out one-on-one. We've never had a deep conversation. I just really didn't know her that well to be able to interpret these messages and have a better idea of what was actually happening behind closed doors. And I wish more than anything I did, because I should have never gotten involved with this, but I did not know what she was going through.
James Charles does admit that he and Evan Johnson became friends and did in fact hang out.
I really fucking hate to admit it, but I did have a brief friendship with Evan Johnson that started and ended well before I ever learned about any of the violence that was going on behind the scenes. He reached out to me a couple of days later asking me for advice and told me the same exact story that Zack Sellars believed and then repeated on the Be Better podcast that genuinely made me believe Evan Johnson was the victim in the situation. We became closer, we would start FaceTiming, he was very suicidal and depressed, and eventually he told me that he wanted to come out to LA to escape and get his mind off of things for a weekend, so I invited him out. All we did was sit on the couch, order food, watch movies, but over the course of the weekend, I slowly started to notice that some of his stories were not exactly lining up. There were inconsistencies, and I started to get worried that I might be on the wrong side of things, and that was confirmed as soon as Kayla noticed that he was at my house and I had to lie to her. Later on that night, I told Evan straight up I was uncomfortable, I was upset that I had to lie to her, and that we could not hang out any further. He respected that, and the next morning, he flew home.
Kayla actually found out that Evan was at James Charles's house because Evan decided to upload Snapchat pictures of himself with James Charles' backyard in the background, and also tagged Encino, which is where James Charles lives. Kayla, as you probably know, uploaded a whole series telling exactly what Evan had done to her, and James says he didn't know what had happened to her until he watched her video.
It wasn't until a month later, when Kayla uploaded her video, He Doesn't Love You, that I actually got to sit and watch how much of a monster he is. My jaw was on the floor for all 2 hours of that video. I could not believe what I was watching and seeing. The horrendous verbal abuse, the violent physical abuse. I was shocked. I was ashamed for not taking me and Kayla's conversation more seriously. I was embarrassed for ever believing that man's lies and manipulation. And I was angry with myself that I ever allowed that man into my home. It was horrifying, and I'm so proud of Kayla for being able to speak up.
So Zack was actually friends with Evan, and he admits that he was manipulated and lied to by Evan, and then soon realized Kayla had been telling the truth, and Evan's not a good person. James says the same thing happened to him. He was lied to and manipulated by Evan, but he says it only took him 3 days to figure it out.
It took me 3 days with Evan to realize that something wasn't right here. It took Zack 3 months. So to act this way privately and then to get online as if I'm some monster was wild to me. What started off as a video of James Charles supporting Evan Johnson behind the scenes snowballed into more videos, more content, and then live streams. Every single night, Zack has been live asking for galaxies in exchange for showing more receipts. He's been asking his followers for their cities and locations so he can go on tour with Kayla after this is all over with. He's even been asking for donations on PayPal to fund a merch line. This has nothing to do with getting justice for Kayla and everything about making an opportunity for himself. And the perfect one came along when Be Better flew him out to Canada for their podcast interview.
During Be Better's interview with Zack, Zack claims that James Charles allegedly paid Evan for naughty pictures and that he did this through an OF channel.
Complete bullshit. To start rumors about somebody online is one thing. Unfortunately, I know that that comes with the job, but to publicly accuse them of prostitution is ridiculous. There is no proof, no evidence of any of the ridiculous claims that Zack is making because they did not happen, which is why I have no choice other than to take legal action.
James says, yes, he does have an OF account that he hardly uses, and he offered it up to Zack to check it out to see if there's been any transactions between him and Evan at all.
Evan Johnson and I did not in any way, shape, or form have a physically sexual relationship. We did not have sex while he was here, and I did not, under any circumstances, pay Evan Johnson for sexual favors. Not in person, and certainly not online through a secret OF account where I'm apparently funding his entire life. That is absurd. Not that it's anybody's business, but I do have an OF account. I'm a grown adult. I barely use it, but Zach, if you would like to see, I will gladly send you a screenshot of my transaction history. I have nothing to hide, and I have not sent Evan Johnson $1 single.
In the interview that Zack did with Be Better, he alleges that he saw or heard or has a video of James Charles and Evan Johnson having relations.
He claims to have seen a video on Evan's phone of him having sex with me. Zach, post it. If you have the receipt, if you have the video evidence, you can upload it. You have my full consent and permission. I've had far worse posted to me online that I didn't consent to. Go right ahead. But you can't because there is no video of something that did not happen. Be Better doesn't even stand by these claims because he's now added a disclaimer to their interview that says he was not able to verify a single thing that Zack said.
Another accusation that's been going around that James Charles wanted to clear up was that he's trying to silence people on YouTube from spreading the videos about him.
There's a new narrative started by Be Better that I am trying to silence anybody that talks about this issue. First and foremost, this is literally the biggest thing on TikTok right now. I don't understand how anybody could possibly assume that I'm trying to silence people, but Be Better made a video basically saying that I'm working with YouTube behind the scenes to manipulate their algorithm and get their video hidden. I truthfully wish this was possible. I've been making content for 8 long years now. There are videos on YouTube with 5, 10, 20 million views that if I could have gotten them removed, I would have. But Be Better, I know you said you're having your lawyers reach out to YouTube. So YouTube, I give you my full permission to release any communications between myself or my team to you guys about this matter because, again, they don't exist.
Zack has also uploaded some videos recently stating that James Charles' lawyers had reached out to Zack's workplace, which is a modeling agency. And he says that basically James Charles is trying to silence him from sharing the truth.
James Charles Dickinson. Yes, I'm back on here, and I'm not going to give up on speaking on the absolute truth. Just want to let you know, I did get to speak to my legal team today. I am in completely safe and clear conditions. They either can file the papers and give them to me, and we can get your whole phone data and you can see it in court because you know you're guilty, or just leave it alone and face the consequences. But I am not going to give up. Right is right, and you're in the wrong.
James also responded to that, saying that's not at all what happened.
Zack has also now made a video claiming that my lawyers have reached out to him to threaten him, to silence him, and to offer him hush money. This is not true. Zack, my lawyers cannot contact you directly, so instead they emailed your modeling agency because that is the only contact you have listed. There was no threat, there was no offer, they were simply asking for the contact of your lawyers. I told you I was going to sue you, and this is what the beginning of that process looks like.
So here is a screenshot of the email that Zack says was sent to his modeling agency. It says, "Hi, Stephanie. Apologies for the Friday evening email. My firm represents James Charles Dickinson, and I would love to have a frank discussion with you at your earliest convenience regarding your client, Zack Sellars. In the alternative, please feel free to redirect me to Mr. Sellars' legal representation." Well, James Charles shared a screenshot as well, and it's the same message. James ended his video with a specific message to Kayla. As he said at the beginning of his video, Kayla will not answer her phone calls, so he wanted to share this message with her.
As for Kayla, I am so fucking sorry that I ever got involved in this. I should have never believed his lies and manipulation. I should have never even responded back to him in the first place, and I'm sorry for hurting you. I genuinely do wish you the absolute best of luck, and I really hope that you get justice for what that man put you through.
Kayla has actually already uploaded a video saying when court is over, she's going to share everything. Well, court is done. Kayla won today. Her ex, Evan Johnson, was found guilty of abuse, and Kayla says he was escorted off to jail with her watching. So now we wait and see. Is Kayla going to post her side of the story, or will she reach out to James Charles and they bury this completely?